Hello, I'm Val. Today I'd like to talk about Elvis Presley. Elvis has an enormous catalog of music. Over the years there have been many recordings from Elvis that were previously unreleased and are now available to listen. But there's one particular Elvis song that has still not seen the light of day. That song is Satisfied from 1954. As an Elvis fan, I've always been interested in this mysterious song, and I've always wondered why and how it's lost. It's probably regarded as the most well-known lost Elvis song. Apparently, it's lost forever. But is that really true? What even is the song Satisfied, and where did it come from? What kind of song is it? Well, this is where it all begins.
This is the original 1951 78 RPM record single of Satisfied by Martha Carson. The B-side is Hide Me Rock of Ages. I also have the original 1953 EP where the song originally featured. This single was Martha Carson's debut solo record and it was a huge hit. It's an upbeat gospel song and has some very early characteristics of what would become rock and roll. Martha Carson was a gospel country singer and songwriter. She gained popularity in the 40s when she performed with her husband, James Carson. She played guitar and he played the mandolin. They were known as the Barn Dance Sweethearts and they had solid success together. But in 1950, their musical partnership and marriage came to an end. Martha received criticism from audiences over the separation. In response to the disapproval, Martha wrote Satisfied, which was a reflection of how she felt with herself after the divorce. At the time, it was a groundbreaking song and it even became the first gospel song to top the country charts and even make its way into the pop charts. Fun fact about the song: the guitarist for Martha Carson's Satisfied is none other than a young Chet Atkins. Chet Atkins would later do an overdub to an Elvis song called Tomorrow Night, which was recorded in 1954 but not released till 1965 on the Elvis for Everyone album. Just an interesting connection. So, with all that said about Martha Carson, where does Elvis come in all this? Well, Elvis was an admirer of Martha and he was heavily influenced by her. From late 1954 to 1955, Martha and Elvis toured the South together. They sang gospel duets and Elvis had claimed that she had more influence on his stage style than anyone else. There's even a statement from Martha about this. He asked me to show him the move I did at the close of my show. I would go on one knee and hold the mic stand at an angle. He went on to do that pose a lot on his shows.
With all that said, it only seems natural that Elvis would go on to cover one of her songs, especially considering that Satisfied was one of Elvis's favorite tunes, sources say. Well, he did technically, but how do we know it exists? Aside from word of mouth and rumors, there's actual documented proof, and if you're someone who collects Elvis records, you may have it yourself.
In the 1974 Elvis album, A Legendary Performer Volume 1, there's a booklet included containing all sorts of interesting documents and photos. A couple pages in, there's a small photo of a log document listing sun tapes where you can clearly see Satisfied written. And next to it is a time of 1 minute and 15 seconds. This is official proof right here and confirms that Elvis recorded Satisfied. By the way, look at how this document is precisely placed on the page to just barely show the title. It's like they're intentionally teasing us and wanting us to start rumors. They knew what they were doing and it worked. From what I researched, this is the story I found behind the recording. During a recording session at Sun Records either on September 10th or between September 12th and the 16th in 1954, Elvis Presley, his guitarist Scotty Moore, and his bassist Bill Black, who together were known as the Blue Moon Boys at the time, were recording the song I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darlin'. Sam Phillips, the owner and founder of Sun Records, was working on the song recording with them as he usually did. In between takes of I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darlin', specifically after the second take, they switched to record a cover of Satisfied. Apparently, Sam Phillips felt Carson's song was a good model for Elvis as the original song had a blend of traditional country music with the blues feeling. He played Martha Carson's original version for Elvis, Scotty, and Bill, and the three felt they could cover it. However, when they recorded, they had 2 false starts and Elvis realized it would be hard to make a complete recording of Satisfied. He felt gospel music was hard for him to interpret. Elvis asked for a different song with a more upbeat tempo. Sam Phillips agreed and felt a rocking rhythm and blues song was the solution. And after that, they resumed working on I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darlin' for another 4 takes in that particular session. This whole session was recorded onto one magnetic tape. The tape tracks are listed as followed. The entire session was labeled as box number 12. And hey, remember that log from the booklet? It's listed the exact same way. It even says box number 12. Unfortunately, box number 12 is lost. I don't know if others have pointed this out before, but I realized something really interesting. I truly believe Satisfied was the turning point for Elvis's style. Satisfied is an up-tempo song, and even though they couldn't complete the recording, that was the moment they realized they wanted to make more up-tempo songs. The catalog of songs Elvis recorded after Satisfied were all up-tempo and rockish. These are the following songs he recorded during his time at Sun, all of which have a rockin', rhythm and bluesy feeling. They would also become some of his most well-known music that would define his style. He did finish I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darlin', which is slow, but the ending changes to a faster beat. Satisfied might have sparked one of the biggest musical shifts for Elvis, which makes that recording in box number 12 historically significant. So, what happened to it? Where is it? In November of 1955, RCA purchased Elvis Presley's musical rights from Sun Records. The Sun tapes of the song recordings were shipped to RCA. Among these tapes was box number 12. By the way, the tape box didn't get its number until it was received by RCA. Steve Scholes, a recording executive and producer at RCA who is also famous for signing Elvis over to RCA, was the person who numbered all of those tapes. He's also the same guy who wrote that log shown in the booklet.
In 1959, RCA had a huge vault cleanout, which is where box number 12 and some other Elvis tapes became lost. Some even believe it was destroyed. You may be asking, why would they let that happen and be negligent about it? I mean, come on, it's Elvis Presley. Well, you have to go back to 1959. At that time, it probably never came to anyone's mind to RCA that those tapes and incomplete recordings would have any historical significance. I've also read, at the time, tapes with incomplete takes were usually destroyed or recycled by recording over them. This method was used to save money. I've read a few sources say RCA found the tape was Satisfied in the 80s and they were planning to release it, but there's been no word on it yet. But I can't confirm if that's actually true or not because that may only be a word-of-mouth rumor, and there's also not a lot of evidence to support that claim. But many Elvis fans believe the tape is still out there, and there's even a following for this mysterious song.
On YouTube, there exists a particular recording claiming Elvis singing Satisfied. I've listened to it, and I can say with full confidence, it's not Elvis. I did some research and found out the recording is from a British singer named Paul Ansel and his band Number 9. Ansel and his band specialize in rockabilly music and are well known for covering Elvis songs. Paul Ansel and Number 9 have even performed with Scotty Moore and Elvis's original drummer DJ Fontana. The cover of Satisfied comes from a CD that came with a book called In the Eye of the Storm, released in 2003. The CD is actually really fascinating. It has 10 tracks that Paul Ansel and his band recorded on original equipment from the 50s to give an authentic sound. The tracks are all songs Elvis potentially recorded and are made to replicate Elvis singing during the Sun years. One of the tracks is another famous lost Elvis song, Uncle Pen. Unfortunately, I don't own the CD nor the book, and images provided are from online. I wish I had the CD and the book. It's interesting because there's not too much information about it. I found some of the recordings on YouTube and listened to them. I personally think it's amazing. Paul Ansel and his band nailed it by sounding like Elvis during the Sun years. It sounds very authentic, and his cover of Satisfied may be the closest we'll get to hearing Elvis sing Satisfied for now.
Well, there you have it. That's my entire search and study of Elvis's Satisfied. If anyone knows anything or if I missed something, please let me know. I hate to say this, but I feel the song would have been released already if it wasn't lost. It's very possible that box number 12 is lost for good. Am I going to accept that, or am I satisfied with that? No. I declare this case still open. There needs to be a search revival for the song and box number 12. Can you imagine how incredible that would be if the recording resurfaced and finally saw the light of day after all these years? That would be huge. Elvis Presley Enterprises would release whole new box sets in celebration of the 1 minute and 15-second tune. The whole Elvis Presley community would be ecstatic. Shoot, there's even a recording of a take of Elvis singing Tomorrow Night that was released on a Boy from Tupelo box set. And that was only 1 second. So if they can release something like that, they can release a recording of Elvis, Scotty, and Bill making 2 false starts on Satisfied. I'm remaining optimistic. Other Elvis recordings that were believed to be lost have resurfaced over time, so there may be hope. And hey, things get lost sometimes, but what's lost is bound to be found.